Okay. So
There's a
I
lot of
think
islands, but those are the
yes.
4 bigs where people live and
Right.
I love Hawaii, so I'm just telling you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's far. You're on the West Coast, right, Louisa?
No, I'm on the East Coast. I'm in New York.
Oh, you are? Oh, I don't know.
I'm on Long Island. Or as
Oh,
we like to
wow.
call it, Long Island. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?
I'm in New York. I'm in Queens.
Oh, you're in
Yeah.
Queens. I grew up
Yeah.
in Queens. Where are you in Queens?
Ridgewood.
Ridgewood. I grew up in Jamaica when I was a child.
Oh, nice. I used to
right
live in
near
Jamaica
where you
States.
are now. Right near where
I I grew up in Jamaica States. Then we lived to Forest Hills, and then I moved out. I moved around, but generally the same area, Ridgewood, Woodside.
I grew up in Jamaica. It was very. We went to a Catholic school. My sister and I used to walk to school every day over the Van Wyck. We'd walk over the Van Wyck every day.
All right, right on. Okay, I went to Jamaica High School for night school once. Yeah, but that's cool. Nice. Yeah, no, just flying out there. It's a 14-hour trip. It's the only problem I have. That's why I thought you were from the West Coast, because.
No. We did it, my husband and I, some years ago, and we did 10 hours nonstop from JFK to Honolulu, which was
nonstop. Okay. See,
nonstop.
Okay. All right, that's better. I had some connections, and yeah, it was
Hawaiian Airlines.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool.
I heard there was going to be a party. Where's Zach?
I'm here. Yeah.
A party, yeah. We love parties.
Well, I thought
when the vaccine comes along, I guess we could have parties. I could have dinners, right, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that.
We used to. You remember? I don't know if you went to. Yeah, did you go, Sergio? I think you went to 1 or 2, right?
The restaurants? Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
we went to I forgot the Georgian place by Regal Park.
Oh yeah. Right.
How is it? Food must be lovely. You guys must have good Russian and Eastern European restaurants. Okay.
Those were probably one of the best.
I don't
kebabs.
know a lot of those, so that would be fun.
Yeah, I think those were one of the best kebabs I ever had.
Really?
Those kebabs were like.
Oh, there you go. We're gonna have to go back.
Yeah.
No, that was
trying to organize second time, but obviously do the stuff.
Yeah, we should wait till vaccine is.
Yeah, we're all vaccinated.
Anyway, I'm gonna give it 5 more minutes because due to what happened.
I know.
Yeah, this is crazy what happened.
What do you mean? What happened? Did I miss something?
You haven't watched the news?
I'm kidding. Yeah, this is nuts.
It's god awful.
Yeah, could have. Yeah, you would never imagine this could happen.
This whole thing is like a Netflix series, man. It's just like one thing after another after another.
Seems very surreal, doesn't it? Like we're not really living.
It's like, no, this can't be happening. No, it is.
Yeah, I gotta tell you guys, I must confess, I cried.
Oh,
I cried. I've never seen anything like this in my life, and it's so sad. It's just breaking my heart.
Yeah.
History repeats itself. I just tell you, it really does. In its weirdest.
I guess that never happened in the United States, right?
No, it's the first time that anyone's gotten in that chamber since the War of 1812. So think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Pretty awful.
Yeah, but that was the war.
that was war, and they were British.
That was British, yeah, not Americans. Yeah.
Not Americans. No, you're right, Greg. It was not Americans that had stormed.
Yeah, a friend of mine in a Facebook, he posted something. The Visigoths sacked Rome, and he put a picture of the old, just making funny memes. Like
that's very similar, very good.
Because one of the guys
has like that analogy, right?
Yeah. You saw one of them has some kind of like headdress on. He's got like a war paint. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Well, now somebody's died. A young woman.
Yes, a woman. A woman was
this
shot.
Is absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
But we don't even know who the woman is. Was she working there, or was she one of those people who invaded the place? I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, most likely she worked there. I would think, because those people, they just I didn't see that many women who just went in. You had to climb and.
No,
that's terrible.
Theory a feeling. I had the television on because I wanted to follow the proceedings, and that the Capitol and the steps and DC without security guards, all of that was very weird. And I had just finished watching a series of the Hunan dynasty, not Hunan, but the Han civil war of the three kingdoms, and where there's this route where it's called the empty village ruse, and Komiang, the one who's holding down the village, knows he cannot defend himself and his village and his troop from his enemies. And so they prepare this empty village ruse. It's a ruse that looked like the village is empty. So the enemy comes and sees this, and they're very suspicious, and it's very eerie. And that's the feeling I got watching the houses go in, and then there's no security guards. I've been to DC a number of times, and all I ever see is security guards, right? And here's a nation's power, in both chambers at full session, and and then people, mobbing in. It was very bizarre. Yeah. I heard somebody say this surreal. That was
what was surreal.
On the other hand, there were not massive casualties because if they were prepared and there would be enough police, they were overwhelmed. They couldn't have stopped them, but there would be enough National Guard and everything. They would use tear gas. There would be like clashes. There would be so many more casualties on both sides. So in a way, yeah, it's a shameful thing that happened, but well, we know one woman died, but it could be hundreds otherwise. So I don't know. I look at it that maybe it wasn't that bad, after after all. I mean, there aren't too many casualties, and they're probably going to be prepared tomorrow, so it won't happen again.
I wonder what the inauguration is going to look like.
Oh, yeah, I don't think it's going to be like that at all. Inauguration. It shouldn't be too many people anyway. But those people didn't wear masks. That's a super spread event. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, there are so many brainwashed.
That's in support of Trump. The House chambers that don't wear masks, and I have to remind ourselves, Trump did get coronavirus, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, but it looked like it was nothing to those people because he got treated like a couple of days and 2 days here and there, and he was good. I mean, they don't realize that he got a special treatment.
Right. He had access.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, to change the subject a little bit, I apologize. I know we might leave a little bit of time to talk about current stuff as well. The thing is, I wanted to first start playing a song from Idi Amin. He was a psycho, and I just want, obviously this whole thing is, and I'll talk about him, but I want to start with a song. Sorry.
Stop now when I'm telling. Listen, stop, shut up! Thank you. Now, I'm counting you in with the well-known counting themes. Here we go. 1, 2. Oh no, we'll come after 2. 5. Idi Amin, most amazing man there's ever been. Idi General, the President, the King of the scene. Idi Amin. Look at the history and packed with men. What rising to the top and getting chopped again. No one fathoming the secret of the whole damn thing. You gotta give the population something to sing. Idi Amin, most amazing man there's ever been.
I just wanted to play a couple of minutes of the song, a couple of seconds of the song, just to show you this guy was very controversial, and we'll get into it. So before we get to Idi Amin, I want to talk a little bit about Uganda. Obviously, Idi Amin was a it's hard to call him a president. Let's just call him a president of Uganda for now. And I'll get to who he was. Okay, so let's just go to the next slide. But by the way, this is a cover slide of Idi Amin's work, and we'll get into it. He was probably on the same level as Pol Pot, Hitler, and Stalin, but he was an African dictator. So let's just move on. Next slide. Sorry. So let's just talk about a little bit of Kingdom of Uganda and a little bit of timeline. I mean, I'm not going to go too far. I know here the timeline stretches from 1840, but I'll start with 1500. There was Mau people, tribal people rebelling in Kenya and Tanzania. So, and therefore there was a lot, they couldn't even hold on to these colonies, and therefore, they needed to grant independence. So they wanted to do it in their own terms and hold on to a lot of the assets that they held in Uganda. So they appoint a king, but the first president was this guy, Milton Obote, and Obote, was the constitutionally elected president. And what's interesting is, well, it's actually Caesar, it says right here, King Mutesa was prior to that. And what's interesting is he was very intelligent. He was the opposite of Idi Amin. Idi Amin was not educated. In fact, he only had 4 classes of education. He was, like I said, extremely strong. He was an army man, but he didn't have official officer education. He didn't have a political education. So the only thing he knew is violence. There was a couple of people that was in the army with him, British army soldiers, that would say that when there was a war with tribal people of Mau, and he almost got decapitated. Amin got almost decapitated. They, one of the soldiers he was reporting to, one of the officers he was reporting to, said within 2 minutes he took out 6 people, using a gun, and he was really surprised how fast he really operated, and he was extremely ruthless, and the way he did it, that. And that's all he knew. I mean, he didn't have any formal education, and he didn't have an officer education or political education. But now, basically, what's happening now, Obote is becoming a president. But here's the thing: remember, I've showed you a picture of Uganda. There was this, tribal leader of the, King. King Kabakamut. From Bugandians. He wanted to declare independence on top of being independent from Uganda. So there was a country within a country. And obviously Obote did not want to have anybody leaving, his side. And Obote became dictator. Even prior to Amin, overthrowing him, Obote basically, turned left, and England started hating all this, basically saying, well, this guy is turning left, he's connecting with Russians, Soviet Union, he's basically, trying to, appropriate all the British assets within Uganda. There was about 50 different British, let's say productions or factories that, Obote was trying to take, and Britain, basically put a halt to that. And therefore, they particularly said that, listen, I want, let's support Idi Amin. He's a really highly ranked, he's, at this time, he became a chief of staff of the army and Air Force. And therefore, let's promote Amin to be president. Let him create a coup. So in this case, this guy Milton Obote is actually now leaves to Singapore for the symposium, African
Cool. They think he was going to be like a puppet type of king or something like that, or I'm sorry, president.
Well, they didn't like what Obote has been doing. They thought Obote will, at that time, remember, there was a lot of they didn't want them to become communist state, and Obote was going left. So he was trying to become a communist. And at the same time, he's also trying to appropriate, create a socialist state and appropriate British, assets. At the same time, what was happening in the 60s, we had Vietnam War going on. So United States didn't have time to really dedicate to this region. So it was England on its own. England just came out from the Second World War II, was weakened. They couldn't really, so they needed somebody who is going to be friendly to them. And they thought this guy, Idi Amin, would be it. Plus, if you think of it, he's from a minority, he's a Muslim minority. This is a majority Christian state. So it's always, remember with Saddam Hussein, the same thing, he's a minority in Iraq. And so for them, it's like, a dictatorship is almost assured, because you can't control the Shia, majority and stuff like that. And this is the same case here. So anyway, now, so Idi's coup was become, widely welcome, and then there was hope that the country would finally be unified. Several, obviously nations had supported it, and therefore they're on. Now, Amin basically becomes a temporary, leader, let's just say. So let's just go to the next slide. All right. So we already spoke about it. All right. Hold on. We'll get to that in a second. So now Amin has become the leader. Now he said, well, I know, guys, I promised you a free election. Not going to happen. I'm not going to have a free election. Then he said, all right, well, I'm going to rule directly. So shunning the delegation of power. So there's not going to be delegates of power like we have a Senate, House of Representatives. That's not going to happen. So he was known to be very abrupt changes of mood, and from basically he was going from buffoonery to shrewdness, from gentleness to tyranny. In the beginning of his regime, he was absolutely terrified by being overthrown. So in the beginning, he was very terrified. He said, there's a lot of agents of a prior president, Obote. I want to be able to, take control of the thing. So basically saying he dismisses a lot of the military leaders. In fact, he executes a lot of them. A lot of the soldiers that were dedicated to Obote, he does the same thing. There was threat to Amin. Now so he has a little bit of support now because people are saying, okay, thank you for giving us a little bit of rest. Let's think more optimistic and progress and make good things. So now what is he resorting to? So basically, and we've spoken about it. Next. Oh, I think I'm jumping a little bit. All right. So now, basically what's happening is he's saying, okay, this didn't work. Economy failed. I threw out all the agents. What is the next thing is going to work? So he's trying to turn the spotlight away from the failing economy. An important aspect about Amin is he's basically a personality. He's a theatrical personality. I know it's sad, obviously, he's killing all these people, but he's a buffoon. People thought of him as being, kind of like an idiot. And he wanted to prove that point just to keep, keep the attention away from the failing economy. So he loved to make spectacles and, show the things, and he loved them, and ruffle the feathers. He loved to ruffle the feathers. So he basically launches a public war of words with outside world. He once sent a telegram to Queen of England to tell her not to get her knickers in a bundle over something that he had done. The world was outraged. How can he send such an inappropriate message to the Queen of England talking about her underpants? And then also he sent a second telegram to Nixon saying that congratulating Nixon after the Watergate scandal, and he was impeached. He said, congratulations. So he was completely out of his mind, and therefore people were not taking him seriously, but it was a mistake because he meant all of it. Now Amin obviously created for himself this militarized, hyper-militarized state. The economy failed. His buffoonery is not really working. He created a multiple organization that were responsible for various aspects of security, and the groups were able to amass great power. So now all of these agencies, they don't want to be, they're not getting paid. So they're now creating their own, they don't want to be responsible to him. I mean, they don't want to back him up anymore. So, we see him in the public speeches saying there's 100 agencies and everybody has to be responsible for my health. And people really eventually don't want anything to do with him. And he is losing loyalty of the agency he has created. So now what's happening is prior we get to the Tanzanian invasion, let's talk a little bit about him hijacking or being responsible for hijacking of the plane. So in June of 28, 1976, there was the terrorists who I was talking about, the PLO, which is a Palestinian, independence movement, and particularly led by a black prince. They kidnapped, they hijacked the plane, and who the first one to raise their hand to land the plane here was, obviously Amin, and Entebbe, which is an airport in Kampala. He said, please go ahead and land that plane here. And the aircraft, obviously was, stolen from, it was a French airline actually. And what's interesting is, they basically, even though they arrived here, Israel obviously got a wind of it and sent special forces. And what's interesting is the special forces were commanded by Colonel Netanyahu. As everybody know, Netanyahu is a current president of, Prime Minister of Israel. That's his brother. He said that one time he went out when he got that, money for $30,000, whatever he deposited in the bank. He actually went out for a little shopping spree, and he brought 3 boxes of alcohol. So as we know, Muslims don't drink alcohol. So he was an avid drinker. So
Zach?
Yeah.
Just a comment. I don't know about the situation in Uganda, but there have been a number of other situations where a dictator where there have been efforts to oppose a dictator, and other countries have offered exile in order to avoid more bloodshed. I mean, this was done with Duvaliers in Haiti. So I wonder if that wasn't the same reason the Saudis said, okay, rather than having a violent showdown and a fight to the death, we'll offer you asylum under reasonable conditions if you leave peacefully. I would guess that's what happened here, as in other cases.
Yeah, but this was not what happened, because when Abati was exiled, and Abati was also a dictator, he had a secret police, and he has done as bad things, not as bad as Amin, but he has done all the bad things. He actually was exiled in Tanzania, which was right next door. And we'll talk about it in a second. But what's happened is, in 1978, while Amin was still in power, he ordered attack on Tanzania. One of the reasons was because Abati, the prior president, lived in Tanzania, was exiled there, and also a lot of the unhappy nationalists was leaving Uganda to go to Tanzania and create forces there. With Tanzanian forces, they were thinking of attacking Uganda. So to preempt that, preemptively, Amin attacked Tanzania. But what's interesting is he was extremely ruthless. He because the army wasn't getting paid, he basically told them, go ahead and plunder and do whatever you whatever you want. So what they did is Amin's army, who's no longer can afford, told them, go ahead and loot and plunder your way across the 700 square miles of Tanzanian territory. And so basically, during that invasion, they massacred every living thing that was around, that was around. Reports suggest it was complete and total destruction. So, Amin's war with Tanzania seemed to have, paid off initially. So he won the war initially, but the Tanzanians have none of it. So they basically attacked back. And as we know, they went to Kampala, sorry. And Amin forces, they like, you know what, we're not fighting. We are so decimated, we're not getting paid. And basically, initially, he was best friends with Muammar Gaddafi, and he went to Libya first, and from Libya he went to Saudi Arabia. So that's what happened basically. So that's I had a short presentation today because I was thinking this was we could.
And then, as far as we know, he lived the rest of his life there. He died of old age.
In 2003, he passed away, and he was a kidney failure. His wife declared, yeah, he had a peaceful life. I mean, Israel never retaliated. What's interesting is he killed Dora Bloch, who was an Israeli citizen and legitimate. He would, throw